Hello, I'm Samuel Buchanan. I would like you to know a little bit about my life. I was born in County Tyrone, Ireland. I am one of 8 children of Andrew and Jane Buchanan. In 1847, while I was a teenager, my family moved to Canada on a wooden sailing ship, from the northern port of Londonderry. I often mention to my family that I had walked the walls of Derry. Our ship was damaged by a storm and had to return for repairs. On the second try we reached Canada, but my father died of the fever while we were in quarantine in Kingston. We came west to North East Hope, where we had Irish friends. We found free land north of the town of Stratford. Our settlement became known as Donegal. This area was a dense forest of huge trees, so clearing land with an axe was a big job. At first we had no money. We had what we could hunt or grow or what we could make with our own hands, or what we could trade for. I married a wonderful girl named Mary Watson. We had 8 sons and a daughter. Twice I traveled to Nevada to work in the huge gold and silver mines there. One year I worked deep underground, and the other year I worked as a lumberjack to produce mine props to support the long mining tunnels. In the area of Virginia City and Gold Hill, Nevada, there was a band of outlaws who robbed and murdered miners. The law could not touch them because they provided ironclad alibis for each other. Finally things came to a head. A murder had occurred and the witnesses were reliable, but the alibis made it impossible to bring the murderers to justice. A bunch of miners formed a vigilante committee, and that night they killed the outlaws they could catch, and left notes advising any surviving outlaws to leave town or face the same fate. It is said that by noon they were all gone. Back home, I discovered that young children loved my Nevada stories. In 1878 I came west, and securing a wagon and a team of oxen at Winnipeg, I made a land prospecting trip of 3 weeks. During that time I saw plenty of land, but none so good as that which I still own 4 miles north of Neepawa. Then, the nearest railroad was about 300 miles away, at Fisher's Landing. In 1882 I was joined by my wife and family, and by that time the Canadian Pacific Railway was constructed as far as Carberry. In the early days elk were abundant here, and the prairie chickens could be counted by the thousands, so that there was no lack of food. However, for the first few years there was no store closer than Portage la Prairie and prices were very high. The first store to locate in Neepawa was owned by Hamilton and Davidson. When my family came west, I had a half section and my son James, being of age, homesteaded a quarter section and purchased another at $1 an acre. In the days before the coming of the Manitoba and Northwestern Railway, our grain had to be hauled to Carberry. I have always had great faith in Manitoba, and I believe that there is still no better land for the man who has good health and is willing to work. Mary and I no longer live on the farm now, but own 5 acres across the tracks from the CPR station where we keep a cow and some chickens and take life easily. I am a firm believer in individual rights, also the duty of the individual to defend his rights. When CPR employees attempted to construct a Y branch on my property before I was paid for it, I came forth with a gun and ordered them to desist, and they did. I contended that before I could get on a CPR train I had to pay my way, or if I got on and did not pay my way I was promptly put off the train. Hence I claimed and exercised the same powers. The CPR paid for my land before building the track. I respect all who are entitled to respect, and I give and demand a square deal, and I am an ever-ready helper to those in need. Thank you.